Hello everyone, this is Greyshot17, and this is a review of Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, a sequel to a movie that was literally one of our favorites of 2015. So how does this stack up? Well, not great. If anything, I feel like they lost some magic in this, and I'll explain it. To be fair, the group I went with really did enjoy the film, so I'm glad they enjoyed it, but as kind of a critic, I do have to point out the fact there are multiple times I facepalmed during this movie. There was some moments where I'm like, okay, that's pretty cool, but I feel like it's the first half that really excited me more than the second. The second half, unfortunately, has a lot of issues, more so, and I feel like that's because of changing that dynamic to try to suit Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom's needs of being sort of like a horror, or bringing back more horror. That's how I felt about this movie. The problem is it's PG-13, and it's a very light PG-13. There's no gore. I think there's blood spots, and yeah, you see blood bags, but there's not really any gore. Like, I think of movies like Oculus, stuff like that, have a bit more gore and a bit more stuff to them. Heck, even in, like, scenes in Avengers, stuff like that, there's more blood. So yeah, I was disappointed about that, because once again, they're trying to satisfy this horror craving that they're so desperately trying to grab in this film, through the tone, through the visuals of like a very dark setting. Like, the opening sequence in this film is very good. Like, it sets everything up and sets how things are going to go for the rest of the film, and that's done really well. And then it keeps going, and then eventually there's a certain point where the film kind of breaks it. And without going to spoilers, that point is about halfway through when they get to that island, to try to save the dinosaurs from the volcano. So let me go off through the actors. So Chris Pratt plays Owen. Once again, he comes back along with Bryce Dallas Howard, aka Claire. They're both back in this, and I will say that both of them do a good job in this film. The problem is, I wish they had more time devoted to themselves, because unfortunately, some of the side characters kind of takes over. Dr. Rodriguez, which is like this proto sort of like wants to be a dinosaur doctor, it's like a veterinarian but for dinosaurs. She does have some really good moments and kind of solidifies her time on screen, though she can be a little bit annoying sometimes. The person that really bugged me was Claire's like tech guy that she brings along, and it's just, I don't know, it's just not that great. I don't know. He's just a little bit too whiny, and a lot of the tasks that he is currently trying to do is something that Claire herself or anyone else could do. Like, I never felt like he justified his position. He's just there to be there. It's kind of like Independence Day Resurgence, where Jeff Goldblum had a character, a sidekick, but there was no reason for that sidekick character to even be there. But speaking of which, Jeff Goldblum is in this film along with BD Wong. They both returned from the original Jurassic Park film. And Jeff Goldblum is in it for a split second. I don't even know why they're marketing like that he's in it at all, because he's in it for probably less than a minute of screen time. And I'm just letting you know that, in case you're wondering what spoilers. Like, no, I'm just letting you know he's not in this film movie. He's in more of Independence Day Resurgence. And Independence Day Resurgence is a worse movie than this, because at least this movie is more visually appealing. The visuals in this film are fantastic majority of the time. There's only one shot where I'm like, ooh, that doesn't look good, but majority it looks great. Unfortunately, once again, the rest of the characters are just okay. Unfortunately, BD Wong is there and then taken out of the picture very quickly. I wish they had more time to set up him, because I thought that's what they were. I thought that's what the first film was. Yeah, there's just a lot of different characters. I mean, like, there's Ted Levine who's in this, and he's just a merc. But once again, he kind of sets some things up I was hoping to pay off, and they do, but they pay it off in the worst freaking way possible. So, yeah, it's just, I feel like this movie, unfortunately, the story-wise, maybe it's more screenplay, but just the overall story is just so boring and so just lackluster that it just has nowhere to go. They were trying to make it so captivating and nerve-wracking, and I never felt it. Like, literally the last third is like a horror film. That's what they're trying to set up. And to be fair, Jurassic Park has done this before with like the raptor sequence or the T-Rex attack on the Jeeps, and that worked really well. In this, though, it doesn't. I don't know what's wrong. Maybe it was the music or something. They really want to hype it up, but maybe it was the trailer as well, with them kind of showing a lot of the cards, because a lot of this, the final sequence, you see in the trailer. Like, I'm being 100% honest, except pretty much this entire movie. If you see the trailer, you can see this, and unfortunately, it just doesn't help it out. So maybe if you went in without seeing that, it would be a lot better. But since I knew how certain things would play, I knew there weren't consequences. I knew nothing bad would happen, and that's just my feeling, is there's no consequence to this movie. And even when they try to, they do in such a haphazard, lazy way possible. They have good ideas in this film. They truly, truly do. And they even related to a show that I just finished up, which, once again, if I say it, it would instantly spoil the movie, so I'm not going to say the show I watched. But in any case, I feel like this film needed a rewrite or something. They needed to get down the main characters, because the dinosaurs are fine. There's just no good fight sequences with the dinosaurs, like the T-Rex and that. There's no good threat. And it's not a credible threat. Like, the Indominus Rex was a threat, like a force that was dealing damage across the park, and was something that they had to stop. There's a new dinosaur. I'm not going to say the name of it. But it's not as threatening. It's just not as intimidating. And they try to be. And they even try to go with the color scheme. Like the Owen's raptor, Blue, he's in this. And they try to, like, they try to make a connection. And yeah, sure, they try. But I wish there was like 1 or 2 more scenes with that raptor, because it just didn't feel like they had a good connection. Especially with how the movie progresses. But yeah, there's a lot of ways I can nitpick this film. Like, there's a lot of characters that make really stupid decisions, incredibly stupid decisions, that I'm just like, why? Why would you do that? It's so goddamn stupid. Like, no reasonable person would make that decision. No reasonable person would do this. And yeah, it's just a big, dumb blockbuster, and that's the problem. It is Rampage level of dumb, that it's just, you've got to be kidding me. Just like The Rock in that film was, like, really well, like, did a really well job of carrying that film, it's just the same level of stupidity. The problem is, I would be fine if that stupidity was, like, the first half, because then it would be, entertaining. But like Rampage, where, like, the final act was like, okay, that's interesting, you have my attention, and at least you're doing something cool that's keeping my interest. It's the opposite. The first half was great, and the second half, I'm like, okay, at least as long as it's entertaining, it's fine. But the second half is just, they change it to something else, but they don't have the guts to literally show guts. They don't have the guts to have an intimidating creature, Guillermo del Toro is listed in this film for some damn reason, but once again, they just don't have, they just don't have enough to really to make you feel any. I had absolutely no tension in this, absolutely not whatsoever. I never was afraid. I never was scared. It just wasn't that impactful. The directing in this film is great. The score is okay. It's just okay, but yeah, the ending you could see coming a mile away. And I wish they had more impactful ending. And they had good moments. I just wish they had I wish they would have actually went through with it. Because if they could have done some more interesting things. The villain is so bland. The villain is incredibly bland. There's 1 or 2 decent moments in here, which definitely rises above. But once again, it's basically the acting of Chris Pratt, which, by the way, has no character arc. Like, seriously, how he starts and how it ends, nothing changes with his character. Same thing with Claire, and I guess Claire has a little bit of an arc, judging how she starts and ends, but to all honest, how they present her doing that arc change is the most, like, ghastly thing that you could say. It's just like, oh god, I was in shock the fact they had a main character do something like this, and was like, okay, well, we'll see how this goes. But yeah, overall, if you're going in for a dumb blockbuster, I think you're going to enjoy it. I think you'll be fine. But if you're looking for a good film that has good morals, or, good anything, I don't think you're going to see it. I think you're going to see the villain coming a mile away. I think the acting and the overall battle sequences are not that great compared to Jurassic World. And overall, I think this is a huge step down. There wasn't entertaining. There wasn't like a, oh my god, sequence. Even like the eruption, I'm just like, you have got to be kidding me. There are good moments, but like I said, without going to spoilers, they just don't live up to the potential of the first Jurassic World. So this movie is between a 5 and a 6 for me right now, and I'm gonna give it a 6 because it's better than Rampage, which makes me think Rampage should have been brought down a little bit. But yeah, I would give it a 6 out of 10. I think this is a fine blockbuster, but it's easily a step down. This is a slightly better than average film because of the talent they have behind it, the visual effects, the decent score, but the story itself is so bad and so choppy that I am just surprised, and the horror section is so jumbled. It's not good. It's not good. I get it. They were trying to make it a darker film, and they wanted to make, but it just didn't work. It did not work in my opinion. So spoilers, let me talk about why it didn't work, because you're probably so curious about this. So a few things. The T-Rex literally pops up every time to make an appearance saying roar and leaves. And there's one, and for example, the sequence where he roars in the volcano, he literally just fucks off in the distance. And then immediately, with less than like 5 minutes later, somehow, some way, they managed to capture the T-Rex and load it onto the boat. I don't know how this is possible. I don't know how they did that. It was just a dumb moment. Literally, all the mercenaries betray Owen and them on a drop of a hat after the raptor attacks one of the mercenaries. You could literally have it as the guy freaking out as someone is clawing his face, because I think he died. Like, seriously. He just, like, I know Owen's, like, protective against a raptor, but it's still a raptor who attacked a mercenary who, once again, they fired slightly before he gave the signal. Like, once again, it's kind of shocking in that regard that what happened. The mercenary like, you see that's taking these teeth, and you're like, oh my god, like, he's taking these teeth from the dinosaurs, and you're like, oh, I know. Because you see in the beginning that they steal a bone from the Indominus Rex, from the, I guess, half of it that was still at, like, pretty much like the decapitated remains at the bottom of the park. Which, by the way, I swear I thought that was an inland water location, but apparently not. Apparently it's a connected to the ocean, which, whatever. Anyway, the giant mosasaur eats the submarine that took the thing, and then they have a thrilling chase, which, once again, the intro is fantastic, and then once again, the guy that's dangling from the helicopter, like, oh my god, that was insane, the mosasaur comes up and eats him, which, once again, I am fine with, because, once again, they hinted that in the first movie. That's why this first is fine. It's when the mercenaries betray Claire, it's like, that came out of nowhere. Like, they just straight up murder them, and I don't understand why they would instantly do that. That was just, like, a little bit crazy for me, and why I'm like, not really feeling it right there. And again, that betrayal goes into the water, and that deals with a cool sequence in the gyrosphere where they're trying to get out. And I like how he fires a pistol underwater to try to break it so they can escape, and it doesn't crack it. If anything, he can only fire, I think, twice before the gun jams, which is kind of on point with a gun underwater. You can't fire it multiple times before it just is unable to fire. Anyway, and that whole sequence where it's, I think, close to one shot going back and forth, it's very claustrophobic, and that sequence does work. Once again, why it's like, okay, that's being really smart and clever about the filmmaking technique. Like I said, I don't think it's a director's fault. I truly don't. I feel like he was just given a terrible script, and he did everything he could with it. Because again, if you're wondering, well, what's the point of the whole movie? It's literally, the point of this film is the guy that helped Hammond make the dinosaurs, Lockhart, who's, by the way, barely used. I wish they would have showed him more and you got to learn more about the park. But he literally is funding this expedition. The problem is the person he has in charge of the expedition is betraying him to sell the dinosaurs on the black market and then also militarize the dinosaurs. So there's that, which is why B.D. Wong's character comes into play, which, once again, he's criminally underused. I want to know more about the dinosaurs. And it seems like he cares about the dinosaurs, which is the most fascinating part. And he gets knocked out and dragged away. Like, don't worry, he'll be back for the next film. And I'm like, I made a joke about that in the theater, and I was dead. I was on point. So yeah, that was stupid. Also stupid point, that mercenary, you know why he's collecting the teeth? Oh, I thought it was collecting like blood and samples, stuff like that, because again, that's why they collected the bone to make the Indominus Raptor. They made it more raptor-like. Big, again, sure, why not? It is somewhat bulletproof, so at least they improved that. But yeah, this thing is pretty vicious, and I could see it in a military setting. And I know some reviewers are like, man, I don't see how you could use an animal for military. I mean, the Germans were using horses in World War II. That animals are still used in warfare. Today, yeah, we're more mechanized, but canine units are still a thing. And if you could deploy a animal that could go into a location that you could theoretically train and that's bulletproof, go into a target location, take out the enemy, they could wipe out an entire enemy like building like easily, because once again, pretty bulletproof, judging by this raptor, and you could easily knock that thing out. Once again, that's hypothetical. You would have to then train it, and this thing doesn't seem like it's trainable. That's why they're also trying to get Blue. That's the whole point. They got Owen and stuff like that to get Blue to then raise these Indominus raptors. And it's just like, okay, sure, why not? But in any case, they also have a clever joke. I will say that anyway, Malcolm's character, aka the guy from the first movie, aka Jeff Goldblum, the guy I was hoping to see more of. He's in for a split second because, again, he's just... He's making discussion to Senate like, yeah, let the animals die, because once you introduce them to the main ecosystem, you don't know what's going to happen. And spoilers, at the end of this film, they get into the main ecosystem, which makes me think, okay, there's not that many dinosaurs. They said 11 species were saved, so sure, why not? You now have pterodons, stuff like that, which I feel like if you really want to hunt these creatures down, you could. The one that would be probably the biggest pain in the ass to hunt down would probably be the raptor, because it's smart enough to stay away from, keep its attention away, and the mosasaur. The mosasaur, because it's an underwater creature, and that's going to be hard as hell to track down. Good luck with chasing that thing down. But once again, I don't know. They also made a big deal because they gave a goddamn raptor T-Rex blood as a transfusion, which makes me think like, okay, so sure, it's close enough blood type. I feel like this should not be able to work. I feel like, I don't know, maybe because they cloned them, but that, once again, it's just, I like the sequence with them like next to the T-Rex. And by the way, they use actual I guess practical effects with the raptor being held down after it's shot, and also with the T-Rex. But everything else, it was just CG, and I'm just like, okay, that's fine. It just doesn't look that, I don't know. It's like I was waiting for practical, because the practical raptor looks so freaking good. But then once again, they have all CG, and I'm just like, okay, fine. There's also I think I mentioned this after credits scene. Don't care about. Don't just ignore it. You can also ignore it. But yeah, it's just essentially the dinosaurs are in a building. They're being gassed. They're literally being gassed in this. Wants to be sold after dealing with the Indominus Raptor after it's impaled, falling through the glass. Which the whole like ending sequence is the Indominus Raptor hunting down our main guys, our heroes, and it's just Now, if you're wondering about that little girl that was in the trailer and that shows up, there's a little girl in this, and the reason why I said I just finished a show that's very similar to this is Orphan Black. And as soon as I say that, people are gonna be like, "She's a clone?" Yeah, she's a clone. So apparently, Hammond and Lockhart cloned Lockhart's daughter and had now they have a clone, a human, and that has me so much more interested than anything. Like, because literally at the end, like, the guy's like, "Come here," as in like property, and it's not like daughter, it's like, you are a piece of property. So that has me so much more interested in that philosophy of cloning humans. That has me so intrigued, and how they would shape that, because I just watched Orphan Black, so it was actually perfect timing to see this. So again, how they would deal with like a cloned animal, because the Senate's like, we should just, they're pretty much a private property. We're not going to deal with it. If someone else wants to deal with it, that's fine, but it's the property holder who can deal with those animals. The government's not responsible. So they technically they just passed a thing saying, yeah, that cloned human is private property, which once again would be so interesting for them to deal with. They're not going to. This movie has so many good ideas, it just squanders. Literally the whole idea of are the dinosaurs worth saving is like 2 minutes of the overall film. They barely discuss it. And I wish it was more. Like, if this film is trying to be Planet of the Apes with the animals now in the wild and actually being a threat, once again, I don't know how it's going to be a threat. And the only thing that I could really see is the mosasaur. If you're going to do it with militarized animals, sure, we'll see how well that goes. But then you're going to have to train them. And hate to break it to you, that would probably be very difficult. But we'll see what they do. But yeah, like, every time I think of these stupid moments, I wanted to make this a lower score because it's so dumb. And there's so many in the second half. The guy, oh, I almost forgot, the mercenary guy who's collecting teeth, again, for a necklace. He walks into a cage after pretty much everyone skedaddled because Owen released one of the dinosaurs. And he walks into the cage and the Indominus raptor, again, and this thing is playing dumb with the mercenary, being like, yeah, I'm knocked out. So he can try to pull out a tooth. Doesn't work, and the Indominus raptor kills him. Then there's a second guy who sees this going on, and instead of running to the to close the door, he runs past it. He looks at it. He runs past it and runs into an elevator where people are hiding. Now, the only reason I say this is there's an elevator with a barcode. I don't know how Owen managed to use that barcode to use the elevator to go up and down, because technically you need the code. Everyone else is there because they can't. He uses the code to go, and then eventually the Indominus raptor causes some havoc with the elevator and kills everyone inside. It's like, great, wonderful. There are two great times where it's like, you could have stopped it from killing everybody, but no. All right, that's fine. Yeah, but this post-credit scene is a pterodactyl flying over the Paris Eiffel Tower. Yeah, it's stupid. It's really stupid. There are now dinosaurs in Northwest California, so great. I can't wait to see what happens. Look, I hate to break it to you, but if you're just gonna release the park dinosaurs in the open terrain, it's not gonna be all that bad. Planet of the Apes, the reason why I keep saying that I think it's going in that general direction is just because of the fact that, once again, it showed this virus going out and the world being infected and more apes getting intelligence. So it's like, okay, it's a suitable threat. But on the flip side, you have this film, and you have this film releasing dinosaurs which can easily be killed by bullets, because literally this Merc group was easily able to get all these dinosaurs except for a handful, like the raptor, which is why I said it would be difficult for them to track it down. But reproduction is a whole different matter, out into the wild. So once again, I feel like, yeah, it's Jurassic World now. They're in the world, but they're really not. Like, the worst things I could see is the pterodactyls or the pterodons, because they can fly, the raptor and the mosasaur. Everything else you could easily kill. I hate to break it to you. And by the way, if you're a T-Rex fan, there's no good fights. There's no good... I mean, you have the beginning sequence with the T-Rex, but that's the best you're going to get. He just shows up, roars, and leaves. That's all he does. Or she, I should probably say. But yeah, I have a lot of problems with this film, and it's a film I will never watch again, because honestly, it is that forgettable. It is that bad. I think Lost World, it has a more interesting premise and actually has a better message than this film. This film, again, tries to be Lost World in messaging. It actually has some shots that reminiscent to Jurassic Park 3 of all things, like the bar scene and this charter plane they have out. It's very identical. I kept waiting for the raptor to pop up on the plane, just say, I'm so God. Oh God, he says something. Alan. He's just saying Alan. But no, it's anyway, like I said, I just spoiled a ton of this. If you're really, really interested in Jurassic World, Fallen Kingdom, and you just want a dumb blockbuster, sure. But I was hoping for something smarter, just like the original Jurassic Park was, because that was actually a really smart film. And you really don't get it here. Lost World is on par with Jurassic World for me, and this is as bad as Jurassic Park 3. I think Jurassic Park 3 might be better. And I'm being honest. I think Jurassic Park 3 might be a slightly better film because of the fact that at least it had decent, I don't say morals, but it had more tension and more scares because of how they set up the Spinosaurus, in my opinion, than this film. The Indominus raptor was never as scary as the Spinosaurus, which they made a joke about in the first Jurassic World film about being stupid. Yeah, so that's what we're dealing with, people. But in any case, that's going to be it. I want to thank you for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. This has been Greyshot17, and I'll see you all next time. Hello everyone, and before I go, I want to give a special shout out to Patreon supporters Ollie, Joey, Ace, Aaron, Leo, Nick, and Tim. Thank you for your amazing support, and thank the remaining Patreon supporters for your support as well. But seriously, you guys rocked. It's been Greyshot17, and I'll see you all next time.